That's some heavy-duty conjecture.
Funny, Ransom, you skipped the funeral, but you're early for the will reading.
Very nice.
Daniel Craig charmed audience as the determined detective Benoit Blanc in 2019's Knives Out. The whodunit from director Rian Johnson was a critic and overall general audience pleaser, and with the film's mysteries resolved, fans wanted a sequel. Luckily, those wishes were granted, and news of a sequel was recently released, so stay tuned, because in today's video, we'll be going over all the details about Knives Out 2 that's been released and what you need to know. But before we get into the video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel with notifications turned on so you don't miss any of the new videos we post. What may come as a surprise to many fans is that plans are finally moving forward on not one, but two Knives Out sequels. 2 years after Star Wars The Last Jedi was released, director Rian Johnson returned with another big film and an equally star-studded cast that consisted of big-name actors like Daniel Craig, Chris Evans, Jamie Lee Curtis, and Christopher Plummer. While The Last Jedi was considerably divisive, Knives Out received almost universal acclaim from critics, and audiences have enjoyed the film as well. That has, in part, been due to its ensemble cast as well as its witty humor and ability to keep the viewer guessing throughout as the mystery unfolded. With all that in mind, it's no surprise that Knives Out 2 is happening, considering the first film's massive success. Furthermore, a murder mystery is a genre that won't necessarily go out of style or become oversaturated. As long as there's an interesting story to tell, Knives Out 2 can tell it. What is surprising, however, is the way in which Knives Out 2 is being distributed. Shifting from being a Lionsgate release like the original film was, Knives Out 2 was officially greenlit by Lionsgate as of February 6, 2020. Which was great for Johnson as he initially expressed interest in making more movies with Daniel Craig. Back in January 2020, Johnson had confirmed he was working on the script for the sequel and would like to get it made within the next year. For their part, Lionsgate executives also wanted production to begin as soon as possible. However, in a new plot twist, Lionsgate will no longer be releasing Knives Out 2 or its sequel, Knives Out 3. Rather, Johnson and producing partner Ram Bergman signed a whopping $469 million deal with Netflix, which gave the pair complete creative control over the sequels. This happened because Johnson and Bergman owned the rights to the films, and their reps at CAA began shopping Knives Out 2 around due to the unlikelihood that the sequel would be released in theaters considering the global health situation, and so audiences with a Netflix subscription would get to watch Knives Out 2 when it's released. One of the reasons Knives Out was such a hit was due in part to such an amazing cast, and Knives Out 2 will not be short on star power. One of the most notable performances from the first movie was by Daniel Craig. Craig played Benoit Blanc, who will now be investigating two new mysteries in two Knives Out sequels, which was part of the deal of getting the sequels off the ground. As we know, Daniel Craig is returning. A heck of a lot of other talented actors are also reported on board with the project as well. Knives Out did a good job bringing in star actors such as Daniel Craig, Chris Evans, and Jamie Lee Curtis, along with popular up-and-comers Ana de Armas, Catherine Langford, and Jaden Martell. Knives Out 2 is duplicating that formula for the sequel. That being said, Knives Out 2 will undoubtedly at least star Craig again as Benoit Blanc. He'll also be joined by Guardians of the Galaxy star Dave Bautista, Fight Club's Edward Norton, and Antebellum's Janelle Monáe. Also joining the cast is Hamilton's Leslie Odom Jr., WandaVision star and comedy legend Kathryn Hahn, and How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days star Kate Hudson. The first name announced for the sequel was Bautista, who has already spoken about being really nervous about the sequel, adding that the script is brilliant. It's one of those things where now the pressure's on because people are expecting things from you. I want to deliver. I take pride in that. I'm a game player. I want to throw a touchdown pass, he said. Although we don't know exactly who these actors will be portraying, this is arguably one of the best cast. Jamie Lee Curtis, who was Thrombey family matriarch Linda in Knives Out, jokingly responded to the lack of returns for the Thrombey family in the sequel by offering up an update on their lives since the first movie. She confirmed that she and the rest of the Thrombey dynasty won't be returning in an Instagram post that read, "To clear up any rumors, the Thrombey family is in family counseling and the therapist suggested they stay away from Benoit Blanc in the future. Linda was fine as she kicked her loafer-wearing prick of a husband, sorry Don Johnson, to the curb. The rest of them are hustling. Ransom is apparently in the knitting sweater business, a new skill he picked up in the Slammer. Joni has some vaginal scented bath bomb. Walt is self-publishing his memoir. None of us will be joining Mr. Blanc in Greece. As the family spokesperson, we wish the filmmakers all our best in their new venture." However, we might not want to rule out all familiar faces just yet. Ana de Armas, who received a Golden Globe nomination for her role as Marta in the first Knives Out film, stated in an interview in October, "I hope this is one of those surprises that 2021 will bring for me." A phone call from Rian, and many fans hope so too. With an amazing cast in store, many are wondering what exactly the sequel will be about. Ideally, the sequel would be set on some kind of Thrombey family vacation to the Mediterranean. However, this likely won't happen, though talk about the Knives Out sequels started pretty much as soon as the first film premiered. Johnson has been clear that he is envisioning more of an anthology of standalone stories rather than a continuation of the dysfunctional family fans met in 2019. In an interview, Johnson said, "If this movie does alright, if I can get together with Daniel every few years and do a new Benoit Blanc mystery, new location, new cast, new mystery, it'd be so much fun." Johnson said that he wanted to do what famous mystery author Agatha Christie did with her novels. Christie's novels often followed a famous detective by the name of Hercule Poirot, a character very similar to Craig Benoit Blanc. In each book, Poirot would have to solve a new mystery involving different characters in different locations. And as he said in a statement in February of 2020, think of it just like another Hercule Poirot novel from Agatha Christie. So, a whole new location, whole new cast. So while Knives Out 2 is happening, it won't be about the Thrombey family, as that story is clearly over. But Daniel Craig's character, Benoit Blanc, solving a different mystery remains on the menu. Since a follow-up to Knives Out is still in the pre-production stage, no plot details have been revealed yet. However, the fact that Johnson wants to follow the template of the Christie novels should get fans excited. Knives Out 2 involved Benoit Blanc solving a new murder in Greece instead of New England, and obviously, new characters will be introduced. Johnson has also expressed a desire to tell a different style of murder mystery in Knives Out 2, so fans shouldn't expect the sequel to have any deep ties to the first film outside of Blanc's involvement, and don't expect it to be a tonal match for the first film. There's a lot of different modes in which the genre operates, Johnson said in a podcast last year, and there's a lot of modes that I love. The ABC Murders is a much different type of book than The Murder of Roger Ackroyd, which is much different, and Then There Were None, which is much different than, N or M. Agatha Christie had to keep herself fresh with each book, and then you get into the locked out door puzzle boxes of John Dixon Carr. It's fertile ground to dig in. We've, so far, with Knives Out, only done one little corner of the garden. With all of this new information on the upcoming movie, the release date is yet another one of the many things that have yet to be released and finalized. However, we found out that Johnson was at work on a follow-up to the murder mystery back in early 2020. While news about the sequel has been scarce since then, Netflix recently threw down major cash for the rights to not only Knives Out 2, but Knives Out 3, meaning a whole Knives Out trilogy. Knives Out 2 looked ready to hit the production fast-track in February back in 2020, but the global health situation got in the way. The good news is, now that Knives Out 2 has a new home on Netflix, filming is reportedly set to begin in June of 2021. With that in mind, the sequel could be released at some point in 2022 at the earliest. The first movie filmed from October to December in 2018, ahead of its release in cinemas on November 27, 2019, having premiered at Toronto International Film Festival in September 2019. And a similar timescale could point to a 2022 release on Netflix, perhaps in the late November slot that worked well for the first movie. It's unclear yet if the sequel will also be released in cinemas. Based on Johnson's desire to make a sequel fast and Craig's stated desire to return, though, a 2022 release appears exceedingly likely, perhaps around Thanksgiving. How long filming on the Knives Out sequel will take remains to be seen, but fans can get excited that it's finally happening. With that said, that's going to wrap up this video. Thanks for watching.